All right, open forum guys and everybody else who's been helpful in all this. I finally reached a milestone with the 1979 Midget. Um, this has been exactly a year since a friend of mine dropped this car off, and we finally got some action in here. So, got the Lexus GS450h transmission. And a transformer a inverter from a matching year, not the same car. The DC-DC converter is from Chevy Volt, although it's not hooked up at all yet. It's just mounted. And there's my oil pump mounted to the fender, interior fender well, which it is also not configured yet to run. Gas pedal here. Wired in. There's my VCU, Damien's version 2. The minimum that I've got hooked up right now, we got my 2 resolvers plugged in. Those are all homemade, made out of Cat 6 double shielded cable. You may not be able to see them real well, but there's one of them. So those are homemade. My ECT cable there, I believe I can hear the relays clicking for the shifting, but I have no way of really testing that because I don't have any oil flowing right now. Input power is coming from this bench supply that everybody seems to have noted. It's 31 volts. And it's got a 10 amp max, and when I spin this thing it doesn't it pulls only 5 or 6 amps, and just a little 2 amp 12 volt power supply, which gets pretty hot. I tried to measure the power draw on all the components, which right now is the inverter itself, the computer, the VCU, and the transmission switch, which I'm assuming the transmission switch is not actually pulling any power. I think it's just a switch. So I'm assuming the inverter asks for a whole lot of current once it's actually running. So it was pulling 1.5 amps when things were powered up without running, but I'm not measuring the amps from this while it's actually turning. So I don't know, but this sucker gets kind of warm, so I'm assuming it's putting a lot of power. So we'll go ahead and see here. I've got, again, it's just a bunch of custom wiring. There's some Cat 5 in there, some Cat 6, some cheap connectors from Amazon. Really, it's nothing super fancy. My shielding for my resolvers isn't grounded to anything. I'm not sure it should be. Maybe some of you can tell me if it should be. But everything is just pinned in right now with heat shrink pins. They're just pressed directly in because I don't have a connector for this guy. I was not able to get that, but they're just pressed in. I don't know how I'm going to secure them. Maybe I'll just tape the whole thing up and hope for the best. 5 amp fuses, just to, for smoke protection or from anything odd to happen. Anyway, so I'll power up now the 12 volt supply, and got some amps showing now on the transmission, which is interesting. And there is a high pitch whine, and push my throttle. Let me show you over here. There we go. And the forward and reverse park works. I've got it set at a maximum of 200 on the torque right now, and it's peaking at 7 or so amps on this power supply. Pretty nice. Anyway, thanks so much for the guys on the forum and everything. I'm sure that there'll be other gremlins as I hook up the oil pump and get things working. I've got 307 volts that I'm going to be pushing onto this. Half of the pack will go here in front of this transmission. The other half will be in the trunk. About 22 kilowatt hours of LiFePO cells. So a lot more to go, but this is the stuff I was most concerned about. Anyway, so for continued inspiration to you guys, keep pushing and get those projects done. It's been a year for me to get to this point. I had a lot of suspension work to do and brake work to do on this car, which I have actually spent a lot of time on, getting some new shocks and springs and bearings and all that sort of thing done. I've got the dashboard pulled out and so that I can get to everything. The nice thing about this particular car is there's no power steering, no power brakes, no air conditioning, nothing like that. So it's an easy platform for sure for something like this, especially when it's the first one you've done. So anyway, again, thanks guys for everybody who's committed to this project and answering questions. It's been a lot of fun.